Right now, while you're watching this, you're being robbed. I'm not talking about some guy in a ski mask breaking into your house. I'm talking about something way more dangerous, something sitting in your wallet right now. That cash you busted your ass to earn, it's disappearing. And the crazy part is this: they taught you to trust the exact system that's stealing from you. Schools don't teach this, but history's seen this same heist play out over and over. And every single time, regular people get destroyed while a tiny group of insiders walks away filthy rich. Today I'm going to show you something wild. Empires don't actually fall to armies. They fall to spreadsheets. And the same thing that killed Rome, yeah, it's already eating away at your savings account. Rewind 1,700 years. Rome was the most powerful empire anyone had ever seen. Their military was unstoppable. Their architecture was insane. They built roads across entire continents. People literally called it the Eternal City. Spoiler alert, it wasn't eternal. You probably learned that Rome fell because barbarians invaded. That's half true. The real killer was already inside, working in the treasury with a calculator. Here's how it went down. Around 64 AD, Emperor Nero had a massive problem. Wars? Expensive. Building projects? Expensive. Keeping millions of citizens fed and entertained? Stupid expensive. But if he raised taxes, people would riot in the streets. So Nero got creative. Roman coins, called the denarius, were pure silver. Nero told the mint to drop the silver from 100% to 90% and just pocket the extra. The coins looked identical, weighed almost the same. Nobody would catch on, right? And for a while, nobody did. But here's the thing about trust. It's like glass. Once it cracks, you can't unbreak it. Over the next 200 years, emperor after emperor kept running the same scam. 90% silver dropped to 70%, then 50%. By 265 AD under Emperor Gallienus, the silver denarius was literally only 5% silver. The rest? Cheap bronze with silver spray paint. Put yourself in a Roman merchant's shoes. Your grandpa's coins bought a month of food. Your dad's coins? 2 weeks maybe. Your coins? 3 days. Tops. Same coins, but the trust behind them evaporated. Soldiers straight up refused to fight for worthless metal. Farmers wouldn't sell grain for money that'd be worth half as much in a month. Everything collapsed. When those Germanic tribes finally crashed through the borders, they weren't conquering a superpower. They were picking through the ruins. Rome didn't die by the sword. It died when people stopped believing in their money. Jump ahead to the year 1100. There's this brilliant Persian scholar, Al-Ghazali, writing by candlelight. He drops what might be the most important economic truth ever written. Money isn't wealth. It's just a claim ticket for wealth. When you print more claim tickets than actual wealth exists, trust dies, and civilization goes with it. A guy from the medieval times figured out what modern economists still can't seem to grasp. Money only works because we all agree it works. It's not about the paper or metal. It's about everyone believing that tomorrow you can trade that paper for bread. Fast forward to the 1340s Florence, basically the Wall Street of medieval Europe. The Bardi and Peruzzi banks were absolute titans. They bankrolled kings, funded entire wars, built cathedrals. Then England's King Edward III just decided not to pay back his war loans. Both banks collapsed within months. But here's what history books skip over. It wasn't just one bad loan that killed them. It was everyone realizing the whole system ran on promises, and promises can be broken whenever someone powerful enough decides to break them. Regular merchants in Florence woke up to locked bank doors. Rich nobles found out their secure fortunes were just IOUs for money that didn't exist anymore. The shockwave hit all of Europe for decades. Ring any bells? In 2008, we watched the exact same movie with Lehman Brothers, Bear Stearns, the whole subprime disaster. Different costumes, same script. When confidence breaks, everything breaks. Okay, let's talk about the cash in your pocket right this second. Grab a dollar bill, really look at it. See what it says up top? Federal Reserve note. Not silver certificate, not backed by gold, just note, which is basically a fancy IOU. But an IOU backed by what? Here's the part that should freak you out. Your money is backed by absolutely nothing except everyone agreeing to pretend it has value. That's it. It's a collective hallucination we're all in on together. And governments figured out the same cheat code Rome used. Why piss people off with taxes when you can just make more money appear? Since 2008, central banks have created over $25 trillion out of thin air. Not from increased production, not from gold, just keystrokes on a computer. Poof. Money exists now. But we haven't collapsed like Rome's, you're thinking. Inflation hasn't been that bad. Really, try this. Ask your grandparents what their first house cost compared to their yearly salary. Most boomers, 2, maybe 3 years of income. Now do the math on today's housing versus today's wages. Millennials and Gen Z, we're looking at 8 to 12 years, if we're lucky enough to afford it at all. Sure, your dollars still buy bread, but can they buy a house, a future, retirement, security? The robbery isn't always dramatic. Sometimes it's just slow and quiet, stealing your dreams instead of your coins. So if these money systems always eventually implode, what's the move? History actually gives us a pretty clear game plan, and it's not what you'd expect. When the Black Death killed a third of Europe in the 1340s, something crazy happened. The biggest wealth transfer in medieval history. Who came out on top? Not the people hoarding gold coins. Gold was worthless when there was nothing to buy. The winners were people who had valuable skills. Blacksmiths, doctors, craftsmen could charge whatever they wanted to. Real stuff, land, tools, animals that actually produced things instead of just representing value 3. Flexibility, people who could adapt when the old system died. Same pattern in 1920s, Germany during hyperinflation. Same in 1946 Hungary, literally the worst money collapse ever recorded. Same in Zimbabwe 2008. Same in Venezuela 2016 to 2020. In Venezuela, people with paper money starved to death. People with skills, plumbers, electricians, teachers who'd work for food, those people made it. People with real assets outside the system, foreign property, gold, crypto, they kept their wealth. Every crisis is just wealth moving from one group to another. The only question is which side you're on. I'm not telling you to bury gold in your backyard and wait for doomsday. I'm saying something simpler but way more important. Money's a tool, not the goal. Focus on skills nobody can inflate away. Your ability to make valuable things with your hands and brain. Real assets that exist outside the money system. Property, businesses, tangible stuff. Networks, relationships, communities. Information channels. Al-Ghazali nailed it 900 years ago. Smart people don't just save wealth, they save the ability to create more wealth. Here's what keeps me up at night. We're living through the biggest money experiment humanity's ever tried. Every major currency on Earth is disconnected from real assets for the first time ever. Global debt just hit 350% of everything the world produces. And our solution to too much debt? Create even more debt. Maybe we figured it out this time. Maybe modern economics cracked the code on 5,000 years of human nature. But every Roman emperor thought that. Every Florentine banker thought that. Every German finance minister in the 1920s thought that. We're smarter than history. We won't screw this up. Guess what happened? Look, you can't stop governments from messing with money. You can't stop central banks from printing. You can't prevent the next crash. But you can see it coming before everyone else does. The people who survive these transitions, who actually profit from them, aren't the ones with the biggest bank accounts. They're the ones who figured out the bank was never the safe place anyway. Just another player in a game that's been running for millennia. History doesn't copy-paste itself, but human nature, that's the one constant. The patterns are right there in every failed currency and collapsed empire, just waiting for someone to actually read them. The answers are in history. I'm just pointing you toward the chapters they don't teach in school. If you want to keep learning the real patterns, the actual mechanics of how empires rise, crash, and shuffle wealth around, smash that subscribe button. The next crisis won't send you a warning email. It'll just show up quietly in numbers most people ignore until it's way too late. Catch you in the next one. Remember, prepared people don't panic, they profit.